Hey everybody, it's Stacy Duffy here, your Denver Metro real estate resource. And considering I have just shown 18 homes in the last 2.5 days, I have a public seller service announcement. If your home stinks, fix it. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting texts and calls and stuff. I don't know any other, I can't think of any other thing that will turn off buyers faster. It will get people in the door because smell is what you can't see in photos. Like, good agents will pick up certain things in photos. And depending on like cat boxes and, cigarette smoke or signs of those things in pictures, most of the time, the pictures are not indicative of potential smells. So what'll happen is you'll get a ton of showings and then people walk in and they're immediately like, what the heck is that? We smelled so many smells, but there were 3 particular smells, in 2 different properties that honestly the properties were overpriced given the condition, but people don't know if they can remediate a smell and get rid of an odor. They know that they can paint, they know that they can clean, replace flooring, they know that they can clean, they know that they can, move things here and there. But smell is the one thing that, especially for people who are sensitive to smells, smokers, past smokers, previous people who have lived with smokers, people with pets, allergies, things like that, that they are more concerned about not just like, hey, I can make it look the way I want it. Sorry, I'm sitting here wearing my seatbelt unparked. But they don't know if they can make the smell go away. Like, they're never sure if it will 100% go away unless they've done it before. And if they've done it before, if it's not the exact same scenario, they're going to question, like, I don't know if I can do it. And if so, I have no idea what that's going to cost. And I don't want to spend a bunch of money getting rid of a smell. I get no value out of that unless the home is significantly discounted because of that. But I will tell you 2 properties that I showed over the weekend to some buyers, and they're willing to do a little bit of like fix-up work, right? So they're not your typical generational HGTV buyer that's like, oh my gosh, we want white cabinets and Carrara marble and like gray everything. So they are much more open to a little bit of quirk, a little bit of character, maybe something they can do some updating on their own. And I'm not just talking like, oh, we can paint over the pink bedroom. I'm talking like, we can do flooring, we can do countertops, we can paint, we can do landscaping, we'll put in fences, that kind of stuff, right? So they are much more open to, as long as the space fits what we need, we can do the rest of it, which is awesome. I love that. It's so refreshing for me because there's so much value in being able to do a lot of that stuff yourself. So they are not the type of people to pay for pretty, because so many people are willing to pay for pretty, and that's fine. That's your choice. There's a lot of value in the things that you can't change in a property. So buy what you can't change. Anyway, rabbit hole. Smells. We looked at 2 properties that the photos were like, hey, this could really work, right? And nicer than other things in the price range, but not as nice as you would expect for, hey, total fixer-upper. And the agents had put nothing in the remarks, not even the broker, the private remarks that the agents can see that the public can't, because we have those in the MLS. Not even in that section did the agents put any notes in there about like, hey, this is a fixer-upper, this is a past smoker house, this is a past pet house. There, if you have sensitivity to these things, be aware of that. Like, we're going to find out when we go. Okay? So getting people through your house just for the sake of having people see it is not only a waste of your time, it's a waste of theirs. But smells are not, if you're going to spend money, that's probably like short of painting and countertops and people paying for pretty. That is something that is worth your money to remediate. Okay? Don't put $1 million oh, I forgot about the 3rd house. The 3rd house had $1 million plug-in air fresheners because it was an old smoker house and you could tell, but it wasn't as bad as the second one. So 3 different houses. Don't put a whole bunch of Glade plug-in air freshener things. Like, that just makes it exponentially worse, because then it hits people like, whoa, the first thing I do when I go on those properties is I open up the doors, like front door, back door. If there's no pets and it's vacant, that kind of stuff, of course, no security risk. But because it is so overwhelming to the people in the property that they can't even get past it to look at the space, to look at the square footage, to look at all of those features that will justify the price that you're asking someone to pay. So I will tell you, all 3 of those houses, had the smell not been there, my buyers would have bought it. Kid you not. So in all 3 of those houses, the question was, can we get rid of the smell? And if so, how much would it cost? Right? And if we can, can we get rid of the smell question had to be an all or nothing. It's not like we can get rid of most of it, but I'm not sure about the last little bit. That was a make or break for them. It's if we can get rid of all of the smell, how much would it cost? Because we need it to be livable. Okay, people can't live in that. So if it's going to cost you $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 to remediate an odor, as a strong, significant odor, spend the money, people. You're talking like 1% of the cost of the property on some of these things, like less than that. Even if it's 2-3% of the cost of the property, because chances are you're going to do a 1 to 3% price drop in the first 3 to 6 weeks that it's on the market anyway. Okay, spend the money. That will be one of the highest ROI items in a smelly house, is getting rid of the smell. I promise you. And just as a side note, and I keep looking at this mountain, I hope it's not going to fall. Shiny object, right? One of these houses I have been in, I can't even count. I probably should go back and count how many houses I've been in the 7.5 years I've been doing this, right? I have never been in a house with the cat urine smell so bad. Like, it was strong throughout the house, right? It's crazy strong. But there was one bedroom upstairs that my buyer opened the door, and me standing 4 feet behind the buyer in the hallway, it burned my eyes when the door was open. And it was like, cut the door. It's like, guys, like, that is terrible. Okay? Spend the money to remediate it, okay? If you don't have the money to remediate it, have your agent put a note in the remarks that says, credit from the seller at closing, X number of dollars to remediate this, whatever. People are going to know. They're going to walk in the door. And it's going to be like, oh yeah, this is XYZ. And that's the house that they're going to, that's what they're going to call it. I'll link to a video up above here and down below on I think it was seller tips or things to clean or something like that, because I had just shown a bunch of houses and I was like, seriously, people? And one of the things was, I talk about odors because people will call it the smelly house. They will call it the cat house, the smoker house, the dog house, the chicken house. One of these houses had the backyard was free range for chickens, which is a little weird to me, but for a suburban neighborhood. And I know chicken smell because I have chickens, but the entire backyard smell like chickens and the entire inside smell like cats. And it's like, oh my gosh, people will call it that and they won't buy it because they don't know if they can get rid of it. And if they do, they don't know how much it costs. So all three of those houses my people would have bought if we could guarantee the smell would be gone and we could have a value. So I'm doing some research for them. I'm like, hey, I've remediated some smoker odors. I haven't done cat odors. How much would that cost? What's the potential? What's the extent? What's the time frame? One of the best ROIs. So how to get rid of smells. If you have a smelly house, call a smoke remediation or odor remediation company. That is what they do. If you want to DIY it, especially if you're a smoker house, do not paint, for the love of God. Please do not paint over the nicotine. A lot of people will be like, oh, you can paint over it. You could just kills it or do Zinsser or seal it. Don't do that. Wash it off the walls. Take some 409, Clorox, whatever cleaner you want to use, and spray it, and you will see it run and drip off the walls. I have had clients, and I love the people that work at big box stores in the paint department and things like that. But my client, because I told him, I said, whatever you do, it was a flipper. Someone had smoked there for 30 years, or not flipper, but someone had smoked there for 30 years and he wanted to put in some sweat equity. And I said, cool, here, it's all here. You can see it. That is cleanable. It's when you paint over it that you can't clean it. And you need to call an odor remediation company and have them treat it. Okay. But please, please, please. He went to a big box store and he called me from the store and he's like, hey, Stacy, I'm talking to the paint person and they said I can just put Kills over the top. I was like, don't do it. Don't listen to them. Okay. Clean the walls first. You got to get it off the walls. All right. So clean the walls, then seal it, then paint it. It will do so much. Okay. But please, please, please. So don't just paint over it. The other thing that I'm a big fan of for the DIY odors, or maybe the pet odors that aren't as strong, or if you're, not sure. If you're not sure if your house smells, call your neighbor or your friend or somebody that you trust that will tell you the truth and say, hey, I'm going to be selling my house. I want to know if it's stinky. And I live here, and you know how you kind of just get used to odors and you don't always notice them because you live there? Can you walk in the front door and tell me if it smells? Because if it smells, they're going to tell you as soon as they walk in the front door. That's when it's going to hit you and they're going to notice it. So have someone tell you. And if you need to do some remediation, odor removal and stuff. Febreze, fine. I'm a huge fan of Autoban. Okay, you buy the stuff by the gallon at Home Depot. It usually comes with like a 1 gallon and a sprayer for 10 or 15 bucks in a concentrate. I throw that stuff in with my dog laundry. Anytime I put it in with my carpet cleaner. When I have my carpets professionally clean, or if I, have a carpet shampooer and I do it myself. That will do so much. Certain, curtains, things like that. If you can take down your curtains and replace them, great. If you don't want to, spend the money or something like that, if there's type you can throw in the washing machine, throw them in the washing machine. The house I bought, the downstairs bathroom, the whole bathroom smelled. It just smelled like teenager BO, and we couldn't figure out. And as soon as we walked in, I was like, it's the curtains. It's the only thing in the room you can't clean, right? Because people don't think you can clean curtains. I took them out. They were not the kind that go in the washing machine. I took them down. I put them outside. I draped them over the fence, and I sprayed them with Autoban, a dilute Autoban, and let them sit out in the sun for a couple of days. Night and day difference, guys. Okay, night and day difference. So do some cleaning and odor remediation and spend the money on a professional odor remover if you have to. Do an ozone, rent an ozone machine if you need to do that. We've done that for cars before, that we bought cars that people had smoked in. Makes all the difference in the world, okay? So spend the money. Do not be the Smelly House. Please, 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 please. Please, it is worth your money. I promise you. I promise you, okay? Anyway, just today's little rant and PSA. Hope y'all are having a good one. If you're looking to buy or sell here in the Denver metro area, please feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to help. Even if your house is smelly, I will tell you how to get rid of the smell. And I will tell you, I will not take a listing that smells like that, not that isn't priced appropriately. It is significantly worth the money to have it done. So feel free to reach out to me if you're looking to buy or sell here in Denver. Contact information is on the link. It's on my website. Link for that is down below. And yeah, check out my other videos if you're selling and want some more tips. Thanks.